listening to the Mondays with Midja podcast, founder and CEO of Legal Leadership, a company specialising in the leadership training and coaching of lawyers. Get set to jumpstart your week with a shot of mojo as Midja and her guests talk all things life, love and leadership.
Hey, it's Monday and I'm Midja, and welcome to the podcast all about life, love and leadership. And super pumped today to have a very special guest in our studio here at Mermaid Beach, Derek Cronin from Cronin Miller Litigation. Welcome, Derek.
Thank you, Midja. Lovely to be here.
Fantastic. So, Derek, of course, before guests come into the podcast studio, I Google them, find out as much as I can about them. But my first question to you is, what won't I find out on Google about you? Is there something that you wouldn't mind sharing with our podcast people? Can be small, big, doesn't matter.
That's a good one. Well, there is a lot about me on Google. Have you?
Yes, there was pages.
Almost like way too much,
Yep.
I reckon, way too much. All right. Well, how about this? I am quite an accomplished pianist. And I actually did, I think it was grade 7 or grade 8 AMEB. So I actually did classical piano, but I can actually play by ear. So you can give me a song and I'll be able to play it.
Now that's cool. Yep. So I'm just thinking what bars on the Gold Coast have pianos, because next time we're out, you're up.
No, if I ever give up law, I can just work on a cruise ship. I think, be one of those people with the scotch on the piano.
See you and Tom on a cruise ship.
We've been on one.
Fantastic. So, Derek, what really interested me when I was Googling and stalking you was just your decision to open your own legal practice, particularly at a young age. I mean, I know you're still young now, still in the prime, absolutely. So if you want to talk to us about, I suppose, what led up to that decision and the why behind starting your own business and your practice.
Okay, well, I mean, I'd picked a specialty early on in my career, which was commercial litigation and insolvency. And Tom and I were working in our respective careers in Brisbane. I was a sort of a salaried partner at a boutique practice up there. And we just found that we were either spending the weekends up at the Sunshine Coast where Tom's family lived or down on the Gold Coast where I sort of was, really brought up. And so we just made a decision that I should have a go at being autonomous and just setting up on my own and roll the dice and see how it goes. So we sold our little house in Paddington and used some of the equity, which, Paddington houses were cheap back then, so you didn't give you that much equity.
Yeah, not like you're getting these days from Paddington. Mm-hmm.
And so I set up in serviced offices in the Corporate Centre 1 there, where a lot of people have started their careers. Mm-hmm. I thought, well, if the phone rings and I still get to earn my, my baby partner salary, then I'd be happy. And, we ended up, I think, doing 3, maybe 4 times that in the first year. So the phone definitely rang, and it rang sort of loud and quickly. So it's sort of been uphill from there. It's all been a great journey from there. So that was 2006.
Okay.
And we've got 12 lawyers now, and I couldn't be happier basically with how it's all panned out.
Mm-hmm. So what was it that you think made the phone ring?
I think that for me, if I say so myself, I'm a fairly good networker, as I know you are, and I think that being approachable and being someone who people would easily communicate with, pick up the phone and ring me and say, well, I've got a problem. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing I'm a pretty good listener as well. So at the end of the day, it's that approachability, I think, that really makes it easy for someone to give me a call. And even if it's not within my specialty, if it's family law or crime or conveyancing or anything, I'm still happy to talk and give my tips on how I would deal with any given problem,
Absolutely. And so I know in your family, Derek, that you have doctors. So there's a medical side of the family. There's a legal arm to the family as well. Why law for you?
Mum said, honey, you can be whatever you want to be as long as you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an architect or an accountant. And
they're your choices.
We've got no architects in the family.
No.
We've got a lot of doctors and a lot of lawyers and a lot of and a few accountants. But yeah. So, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? There seems to be a lot of us, and we all seem to have pretty stressful jobs, basically.
Absolutely. And so, running your own firm,
Yes.
and being a leader of that firm, and being a salary partner and obviously working in other firms leading up to that. Talk to me about great leadership and what for you makes a great leader.
Look, in my career, I've seen leaders that aren't so great in the legal profession, as well as leaders that I think are. And I've also been on boards and community organisations, so I've seen a lot of leaders. I think really that a good leader, for a start, needs to lead by example. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very important that the leader shows that they're prepared to get in, roll the sleeves up, and actually be part of the solution and be a big part of it.
Yep.
And I think that on top of that, you have to understand the people around you and all of the moving parts around you, so that you can adapt to that, and you can get the most out of your team by understanding more about what their needs are, when you're trying to deliver. And you've also got to be true to your mantra, and you've got to make sure that you keep people on the mission, and also that they have an understanding of what you're trying to achieve. So you've got to communicate that to the team, and you have to reinforce that. You have to make sure that they're understanding what is expected and what the firm's trying to achieve,
And what's been for you personally in leadership and the challenges that you've had? Talk me through about some of those challenges for you personally. Maybe we sometimes we have a segment called Leader Shit, which is the shittiest thing you've done as a leader. But, things you've done that you're like, oh, I wouldn't be doing that again. Learnt my lesson. Yeah,
I think sometimes, personally, I mean, I try to sort of, if I make a mistake, and everyone does, I think you've really got to learn from it. I think I've been in situations where I just think I know the answer, and I just want to go straight to the answer. And I think that a lot of lawyers have a habit of doing that.
We're good at knowing the right answers and giving advice.
So one of the things I like to challenge myself is to try and consider different viewpoints and to understand that more. In the legal environment, when I started in the 90s, there was a lot of inequality. There was a lot of, I think, bullying and bad behaviour, and just general workplaces that no one would be particularly proud of.
Yeah.
My old partners, they refused to have artwork because they thought, oh, well, that's a waste of time. Why would anyone want artwork in an office? And so as soon as I moved into my own office, we got very artwork that actually just up the road at 19 Karen, there's that nice plug, 19 Karen provides great artwork.
Yep. Yeah, certainly. I remember a friend of mine in university went for a job interview, like one of the grad interviews after university at one of the big law firms up in Brisbane. And she walked into the interview and said something about the view, because they were in Waterfront Place and it was a beautiful view. And she said, oh, lovely view you have here. And one of the partners got up and shut the blinds. And she thought, I don't think I'm going to get this job.
Yeah.
But some of those sort of tactics and things, I've got my own stories, and I'm sure you do as well, of some things that went on that you're like, wow. We wouldn't have that today in workplaces.
Well, I mean, one of the partners, a family law partner from one of the the original firms I worked at, was very adamant that you needed to be the first in the office and the last out of the office. And I think that's completely got it backwards these days. And I think if there's, we've learned a lot of things from the pandemic, but one is that the flexibility of time and people's ability to improve their work-life balance by simply having that flexibility. And what's more, seeing how we change our processes to monitor and review and deal with people working from home. What you understand quite quickly is that some people are far more productive when they do have that environment.
Absolutely.
And in fact, the majority do. So I think that's something that's been, really interesting over the last year or two.
Absolutely. And so Sort of leads on because I wanted to ask you sort of twofold. Let's do the first part first, which is what do you look for when you're certainly hiring lawyers and recruiting lawyers, and secondly, when you're promoting or looking at lawyers that you feel might be able to step up into a leadership position within the firm? What are you looking for personally?
So our mission statement at the firm is that we provide quality legal services that clients understand, value and appreciate. So that's your starting point, is your mantra, right?
Yeah.
And because if you then are looking at building a team that is focused on that, then you could have any combination of lawyers that have different skills that will bring different things to the table. And I think the days of thinking that there's some cookie cutter approach to people or how it is that you'd find the right person. So it's not. I don't think there's any real science to it. You can try and hedge your bets by saying, we'll focus on these skills or those skills.
Yes.
But I really think you've got to have an open mind going into an interview, focus on what your mission is, and then and then see whether that person fits what you have in mind.
Because I guess I know leading teams, I've had some surprises where I think, I'm not sure about this person, and they end up being amazing, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Where I've thought, oh yes, and then I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
So open mind is absolutely, but that connection with vision and mission and purpose, so that core connection, but then from a skills basis, we want diversity and different thinking and different skills.
Exactly. I think focus on a skills matrix, if that often is something that you need to do. And I also firmly believe that we need to focus on equality and diversity, and I we really champion that at our office, and we try to have that as a key issue for us as well.
And then if we flip that, what do you think lawyers, particularly if we look at, I was actually at your university, Bondi University, speaking a few weeks ago to students there. They were sort of second or third year. But what are law students or law graduates looking for from their law firms, from legal leaders, from the profession, from their careers? What are you hearing that people want now?
Yeah, so I'm on council at Bondi Uni, and I spend a bit of time down there, and I think that
you're what they call a Bondi, isn't it?
I'm a Bondi. Yeah,
I saw that.
I'm one of the original
term.
Bondis. So
absolutely,
and the oldest Bondis. I think that these students today are so much more accomplished and spend a lot of more time doing extracurricular activities, and they just seem to have these resumes that are just amazing that you just go, oh my goodness, where did they come from? So I think they actually want a lot more than just a nice desk and some work to do, during business hours.
Yes.
So we really try to make sure that we're giving them the time to pursue those other interests. And we've got a lot of our young lawyers that are engaged with, say, YPGC or other sort of community organisations, but also. I think what they need is to feel that they're appreciated, and I think they also need to obviously get regular feedback. This is one that you often hear about young lawyers and what they're really wanting.
And there's obviously a lot of choice for students now, and those finishing up their law degree, whether they go into practice law or doing something different. And yeah, of course it's individual, like different lawyers, different law graduates will want different things. I always tell them, there's probably a place for everyone and a law firm and a leader for everyone. But certainly my advice is always have a good look at the leader, the person you're going to be reporting to, and what people say about that person. Because the law firm reputation is one thing, and some of the big law firms, look great on the resume. I agree with that. But your day-to-day interaction is going to be with your leader. That's
right. And I also think you don't need to be in the top 6 firms or whatever to have a great career. I think look, we're in a media studio at the moment here, and I just think, well, wouldn't it be great to go into an in-house role where you start, at a particular company that, you actually start as in-house counsel. And I think probably it'd pay early for graduates to think more about what they truly want to do career-wise, because law is a really broad subject, and ultimately law graduates can then find a lot of satisfaction being involved in-house, and so that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually speaking to a few members of the QLS. Is it the Young Committee? What are they calling themselves? That
YPGC?
No, the QLS, the new Young Lawyers Early Career Lawyers. Yeah. I was speaking to them just about the options that are available, and particularly some of my clients are in-house and love it. And particularly when I started practicing law a long, long time ago in the 90s, it felt like your options were limited. Go join a law firm, become a partner. That was the goal. Partnership was the goal, and that was it. But certainly now, different career paths offering, as you said, different experiences even outside of the firm. And I know your firm does that really well.
Yeah, and I also think that we have lawyers whose career goal is not to be a partner. But having said that, we've got career guidelines which are mapped out for those who do want to go up the partnership ladder, and we're very focused on creating an environment where there's not a glass ceiling, so people can have that path to partnership relatively effectively if they want to.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, some people like to walk the dog and just be in there,
Absolutely,
and get to a point where they don't really want to take equity, or they don't, and that's fine. That's fine. Not everyone has the same,
Thank goodness.
Desire. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I became a partner early, and so what I realised early was that I actually like the practice management side of things, and I actually enjoy that quite a bit.
Yes.
And probably a lot more than a lot of other managing partners,
Yeah.
So for me, that was I really I started small, but I really felt that I got really excited about that early, so that it made it easier because you were keen on it,
Absolutely. And I think that's something to kind of figure out about yourself and have that awareness about yourself. Like for me, I think I was on the tools practicing maybe 3 years. Maybe I practiced law for 3 years,
right,
and went, I'm not sure I'm meant to be a lawyer, but loved, like yourself, the practice management. I loved the people side of it, and growing leadership and capability in people. And I thought, well, I can still do this in the law firm. So absolutely finding that. And again, I have lawyers, when I'm talking about leadership for lawyers and banging on about that like I always do, I always have some lawyers go, I don't want to lead people. I love the practice of law. And I'm like, fantastic.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Not everyone has to be people leaders. Not everyone has to be out there doing that. Certainly that technical space and being an exceptional leader, a highly technical leader, is a wonderful career path and choice for a lot of lawyers.
Did you find when you were on the tools, as it were, that...
No, this is my podcast,
Oh,
Derek.
sorry.
No, you
But
can
I'm
ask
saying,
a joke.
did you feel that, it was the type of law? Like, see, for me, I think that commercial litigation, and I'm biased, but is a bit of a gift because, every client has a different problem. It's not really process driven. There's a lot of different ways you can deal with a particular problem. And then more recently, kind of my focus has been on mediation. We kind of set up a mediation centre during the pandemic, and I became a nationally accredited mediator. And so then I've been able to pursue that as a kind of a side interest. And so I guess my point is, well, I also think within your career you can actually change tack or focus on, particular areas of specialty that are slightly different or slightly aligned to what it is that you're, spending most of your time doing anyway. So
Yeah.
No?
Well, yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I often love that phrase of, you're not a tree, move. So like movement within the same firm, movement within your area of law, but looking at a different way to practice that, a different range of clients, whatever it might be. But certainly if you want that variety, you can do that. Absolutely do that in a legal career.
Yeah.
And finding that for yourself, finding that magic for yourself. Okay, Derek, so what next now for you? So what's on the horizon? What are you working on? Some goals for you right now personally?
Yeah, so I'm always trying to push myself, but for the moment, I'm, as far as the work's concerned, I'm just happy for us to continue with our strategy towards sort of controlled growth, if I can call it that. We do have a sort of a mini office in Brisbane, and I think we probably need to expand on that. I don't think we have huge aspirations for being national or anything like that.
I heard some of the team want that at James Street in the Valley, that other office.
Yeah, probably. They probably wanted it. There's a certain hotel that's frequented up there.
Yes.
So I'm still on council at Bondi, and I really enjoy that role. And so we have to retire at a certain point, and I think I have to do that. I think it might be next year, but there's a lot going on. We're building a new building for Allied Health, which is over near Seabus Stadium, and so that's a $45 million building, which is very exciting. And just generally get out travelling again. And so
where's the first place you're going to go?
I'm going to Europe in late June.
Yay.
That's all locked in. And then I'm going to a friend's wedding in Jamaica in November. So there's a lot of travel to plan. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's cool. That's cool. And what about some of the community work that you do, Derek? What's happening in that space?
Yeah, so I still keep an eye on Gold Coast Project for Homeless Youth, and they're still doing well, and I'm keen to see that succeed. With I'm honorary solicitor at Northcliffe, and we've just finished some renovations there, so.
They're looking great.
Yeah, so everyone come to Northcliffe, please.
Yeah, it's looking fantastic.
And because it's all done up now, it looks absolutely amazing.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, so some work and some play with some travel as well. This podcast is also, of course, about love, Derek.
Right.
And I don't know if you know this, but I'm looking for big love.
Okay, well, I found my love in a gay bar in Brisbane in the late 90s.
It may not work for me.
And I've stuck with him now for 25 years. So, and we were married in 2018 at Bond, which was lovely.
Wow.
At the Obedience School of Architecture, we had 160 people on one table all through that big architecture school. So that was amazing.
The secret to your lasting love with Tom, Derek?
He will say tolerance is what he would say. No, I think really it's humour, just being able to appreciate the differences, and so we've definitely had a very good relationship, and we're very lucky. I think we're very lucky. But I also have been known to, I wouldn't say be a bit of a flirt, but certainly be
giggling.
Just be friendly and have a smile and always look at the bright side. So I'm more the accelerator, he's more the brake. I'm more
Derek's often chatting to men that I would like to be chatting to at a bar, and I'm like, I'll just go over.
Just come up.
Sometimes I do. I'm just going to just squeeze in on Derek here and say g'day. So love advice, Derek, because I've been single for a long time, and I've had fun being single, but I feel like it's been like 6 or 7 years, and now I'm like, okay, it'd be nice now. I'm ready. I've played. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Advice for the single people out there.
I think just be up for it. Put yourself out there and take a bit of a punt and just put yourself. What we used to say about marketing is that sometimes you just need to be in front of people.
Yes.
So I'm not really, and I'm a pre-internet relationship, so I don't really have any knowledge about apps other than what I see on other. I ask if I can play on other people's apps, but
yes.
then they get really upset if I've What is it? Swipe right
Yes.
to the wrong
Some
one.
people grab my phone and they just keep swiping right for like 50 or 60 people, and then you get like a lot of messages.
And, and try to, what works for us is splitting up our roles. I say, he's a household and I'm admin. And I'd say, well, the microwave's broken, so that's the kitchen, so that's household. And you go, it's under warranty, so that's admin, Derek.
I love that. Everyone knowing their role. And that patience piece
It works.
as well.
It works in our case. Not for everyone, but it works for us.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to continue to put myself out there. I think the pandemic really shook us.
Come to Mykonos when we're going.
Oh, I love a gold chain.
And we'll find you an international. How about that?
Yeah. My kids keep saying to me that because I'm having a trip to Nashville with Carolee in October, Carolee Fontanelli, a mutual friend of ours.
Is that one of a dozen things that she's doing this month, is it?
Absolutely. And the kids are like, if you bring a cowboy home from Nashville, Mum, we are not going to be happy. But I feel the overseas thing could work for me.
Well, it worked for Nicole Kidman, didn't it? She's happy.
Absolutely. We could be next door to Keith and Nicole. Love that. Well, thank you, Derek. It's been an absolute delight. Couple of things to wrap up. Firstly, we always have a bit of woo-woo at the end of our podcast.
This looks ominous.
I know I'm a lawyer, but I'm a little bit woo-woo, kind of universe messages. And so I have these little cards, and you kind of pick a card and open it,
dear.
and that is the message that you need to hear right now, Derek.
Right.
Okay? Now, I have 2 boxes today. I have different boxes. So I have Carpe Diem or Trust Your Crazy Ideas. Which box are you going to pick from?
I'm going to go Carpe Diem.
Carpe Diem. Okay. And I'm going to spread these out and see which one Derek picks.
Right. This is all very random.
I know. It's the universe's way. Pop that open at the front. It's like a fortune cookie without the cookie. What does it say?
You'll need to read it.
Okay. No, none of us can read it because we don't have our glasses. I've got the giggles. I seriously can't read.
So it literally says buy a set of glasses and wear
We're
them.
both so vain we won't wear our glasses. I'm going to have to. Jay's going to have to come. Our wonderful person, our producer in the studio here. Jay, what does it actually say?
Drum roll.
1 today is worth 2 tomorrows. Benjamin Franklin.
There you go.
1 today is worth 2 tomorrows. Okay. What do you think about that, Derek? Any thoughts around that?
Might be Bitcoin. Midja.
It might be about Bitcoin. I love it. Where can people hunt you down, Derek, find out more about you, about the firm, all of that?
Okay, so www.croninmiller.com.au.
The type of work you do?
Yes, so it'll have information there for all kinds of things that we do. Mm-hmm. But generally, we'd like to say, well, we resolve business disputes. Mm-hmm. And so that can include insolvency, and there's been a few high-profile insolvencies that we've been involved in lately, including Condev Construction, which has been keeping us busy. But basically, we're there to help solve any kind of business-related dispute.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
So check out our website. And, of course, if you ever want to pick up the phone and just give us a call, I'm always at the other end. I'm always at the other end of the phone.
Love that. Thank you so much, Derek. I'm still chuckling about us not being able to read that card. Thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for coming down to the studio. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I've really enjoyed it, Midja. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Yay. So for all of you out there, please enjoy your week. Go out there and sprinkle your magic in life and love and leadership. I'm Midja, and thank God it's Monday.
We trust you enjoyed this episode of the Mondays with Midja podcast. Host Midja Fisher is a leadership expert, keynote speaker, coach and facilitator. To find out more about Midja, visit midja.com.au or follow her on Instagram at Midja Fisher, and make sure you subscribe, share and leave a review.